Hello there, my name is Bruce Rain from Breakers Creations. Thank you for joining my live stream today. Okay, a couple of things I've got to cover very quickly. Anyone who watched my last live stream, which was 2 weeks ago, I had a go at trying a fourth camera with my setup here. I've got this camera here, I've got a camera up there, I've got the camera in the microscope, and then I've added a camera here. That camera's always been here, but I've kind of added it into the pool of cameras that I use. And it was a disaster, and it was a disaster primarily because of this. This is a little HDMI to USB capture thing that I bought, very, very cheap, and it is crap. So I went and bought the same one as I use for this camera, which is better quality and all that. And so far, so good. So we're going to just do a quick little test of it. Side view. And look at that. It's a little bit yellow. I'm looking a little bit jaundiced here, aren't I? I wonder if I just pull this temperature back a little bit. There we go. A bit bright, a bit bright. Let me pull that back too. Yeah, that's looking nicer. How nice is that looking? See, that's nice. Nice convincing flesh tones. Maybe just a little bit more yellow. There we go. We'll just play around with it until we get it right. That'll do. That'll do. It's fine. It's good enough. It's good enough. So anyhow, quick little hello to everyone who is here. Hello to Jay, hello to Mike, hello to Jeremy, hello to Joe, SadMac356, Nate is here, Alex is here, Enzo, Paul, I don't recognise that name, Paul. Are you a new one? Or are you a regular that I just haven't seen you before? So hello to you, Paul. Garth is here. Eric is here. S. Shrek is here. So anyhow, everyone who has joined, thank you very much. Feel free to jump on and say hello. I always like to hear from folks. I am going to just change back here to the... So these are the views that I have. I have my top view, like that. This is where I can do my Sean from Action Retro impression. And then I have my me view, and then I have the microscope view, which is here somewhere there. And can someone please tell me, if anyone knows... That's not right. If someone could please tell me, I've got one of these, Logitech thingy, and when I press these function keys, they do the little tasks, you know, like the little changing the volume and changing the brightness. They do all that. Alright? I want them just to be normal function keys, but I cannot seem to do that. Normally what you do is you just go to the keyboard in control panels and you tell it to the function keys should just work like function keys. But it's not doing that for this, and probably because it's not an Apple keyboard, it's a Logitech one. So I probably need Logitech software, but their software is awful. So it'd be great if there was a way I could do it without installing the Logitech software. So nice keyboard, this one. I got this with the Mac Mini I'm using. It's backlit and everything. Anyhow, I had an attack of moths in here. I don't know if we can see it. There's a moth there. He's not an alive moth, or is he? Are your legs moving? Are you alive, dude? I think he might be alive. Because sometimes I leave the door of this. Yeah, he's alive. Sometimes I leave the door of this shed open, and moths fly in because there's light in here. And one day this week, there was obviously just a whole stack of them passing through, and I got overrun with moths. Okay. I have the same Logitech Solid keyboard since they came out. Okay. It's sending modify commands directly to the computer instead of letting tear it probably. The J in the shed. Bruce Wayne. Yeah, I'm Batman. That's me. Now, CS Waffle, hello. I should actually just do this, shouldn't I?
Smash that like button.
Hey, what's up, guys? Don't forget to smash that like button. All right, now, a couple of things. I managed to fix a Macintosh II power supply the other day. And I want to mention this because there was something about it that I just think is good general advice for people to keep in mind. I got a Macintosh II a while ago very happy about it. It was the first Macintosh II that I got. And it had no power supply, none at all. Oh, there's more moths here, so don't worry, Jay, I can show more moths. So then I got a second Mac II, and this one did have a power supply in it, which worked for a grand total of about 30 seconds before it then just went. Now, admittedly, I was putting it under some pretty hefty strain. I had a radius rocket inside the Mac II, and so it was draws quite a lot of power, and that power supply just conked out. There's a little board in there. It's the one that has the LED light on it on that power supply. I took that out, and it was a real mess. And it had been recapped by someone, and someone had done a little jumper wire on it. And I recapped it. This time I put the right size components on it. And I still couldn't get it to work. Now, it had lots of rusty resistors on it. And I'm just going to jump onto the microscope view here and show you what these look like. Scope view. Okay, so this is all my rusty. Well, get some focus. Okay, so this is all my rusty resistors here. Oh wow, I can't see. Okay, and you have ones that look like this, and as you can see, horrendous looking. I mean, really, really bad. Now, your immediate thought would be, well, just replace them all. And yes, sure, that's what I ended up doing. But during my testing, I basically got out my multimeter and tested every single resistor on the board. And every single one of them tested within range, within spec. Even though some of them look absolutely horrendous like this. And so my first instinct was, well, okay, they look bad, but they're still resisting. You know, they're still doing what they're meant to do. So I then went and replaced a whole bunch of other things on the board. I had a good one, so I just swapped them over and, you know, and just kept checking to see until, you know, if it would work. And I literally replaced everything on the board except for all these resistors because I had tested them all. Then once I'd replaced everything else, it's like, well, it's got to be one of the resistors then. So I just slowly started going through and replacing the resistors one at a time. And sure enough, bang, away she goes. So even though those resistors were testing correctly with a multimeter, obviously once they had a decent current running through them, they would stop working. So that's just a warning for folks out there that you might have an old resistor that might be looking awful and crusty and crunchy like these. And you might test it and think, no, she's fine, and then find out that she's not actually fine at all. So anyhow, that was just a little warning I wanted to provide to folks, and I'm going to throw these little resistors away now. Off we go. Bye. Who else have we got? People joining. Okay, Trina is here. Ben Sterling is here. Dave's here. G'day, Dave. Did I already say hello to you, Jeremy? I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah, you were right there at the beginning, weren't you? And I think that's it. So, okay. So anyhow, that was just the one thing I wanted to mention. You know, resistors, problem, you know, all that sort of stuff. And now I have a second Mac II power supply, which works beautifully. So I now have 3 Mac IIs and 2 working power supplies. So, you know, I would like to one day just get a power supply so that I can have 3 working Mac IIs. But last time I put out the word, does anyone have a spare power supply? I got a whole Mac II. So, you know, it was nice. I did get a power supply, but I also got a whole Mac II. So now I've got, as I say, 3 Mac IIs and 2 working power supplies. So, resistance is futile. Gonna have to replace some sorry-looking resistors and diodes. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So that's all good. I'm sure there was something else I wanted to mention, but I'm darned if I can remember what it was. So I think we'll just continue. We'll get into what we're doing here. So a little bit of a backstory here. I have here. Look at it. Top view. Yeah. Let's try the side view. Whoa, look at that, look at that, whoa. So it enables me to do this. See, I can do this. I can say, oh, look at that, you know, and I can, the other thing I can do with this one, which is really cool, is I can, for those who remember from back in the days when I used to have this camera all the time, instead of the one up the top, I can, damn, the battery's flat, so I can't do anything. I can use a remote control here to zoom in, but because the battery is flat in it. Oh, actually, you know what it probably is? I've got my teleprompter and it's probably blocking the little infrared sensor thing. So anyhow, there will be no zooming today. Okay, so back to top view. I've got cameras up and running. Yes, they are up and running, and so far so good. They seem to be working. I currently have Ecamm Live running, I have Safari running, and Ecamm is using about 225% CPU. So yeah, it's okay. The fans are going, but we're by no means, you know, full stretch. I mean, it seems to be coping all right. We'll see how it goes over time, but yeah. So this is a Macintosh SE. So anyone who is familiar with the Macintosh SE, this is an SE. Or anyone who isn't familiar with it, this is an SE. This came to me a while ago, and I can't even remember what was wrong with it. But it had some rather nasty corrosion on some of these traces around here. But that corrosion continued underneath this RAM SIMM, and I can't really. I have to sort that out, or RAM SIMM slot. I have to sort that out, otherwise it's just going to get worse. And indeed, I got this one working, or I had it working, and everything was fine. And then the other day I went to go send it back to the customer, and I always like to do a little test if it's been sort of sitting for a while, and it didn't work anymore. And so it was basically showing problems with, you know, I think RAM data paths. So we've got a problem in here somewhere. And that's just an indication that I really do need to clean up all these traces underneath this. So this has got to come off so that we can clean it up. Now, I absolutely hate doing this, and I will probably destroy this in getting it off. And that's okay. I have this little guy that I can replace it. No, it's not going to be color matching, but it will work afterwards. So I can put this guy in here in place. This one's got metal rather than plastic. So that's one good thing we've got here. But I would ideally like to get this off in one piece. All the little plastics are still together, and it will make it matching. After failing to fix something all day, I'm looking forward to watch Bruce make magic happen. I'm not sure about that today. I'm not feeling terribly confident today at all, actually. I think today's going to be a nightmare, but never mind. And hello to LMNO. Thank you very much for joining. To spray paint it. Yes, sure. What could go wrong? Justin is here. Hello, Justin. And Max1. So what I thought I would do is we are going to use 3 different methods to try and, you know, release these pins from these slots and see if one works better than another one. So the 3 methods I'm going to be using, I can probably actually do 4, maybe. We'll see. I'm going to use a mechanical solder sucker, or otherwise known as the machine, because it goes when you use it. I have got a manual solder sucker. Now this one here, the advantage this one has is that it has a very sort of high sort of suction force. It's really quite powerful. But you only get one shot at it each time, so it's a bit tedious because you just got to go bang, and then prime it, and then bang, and then prime it, and bang. God, this is dirty, isn't it? Really need to clean that. What happens is it just gets flux all over it, and then the flux then just picks up all the dirt. The dirt sticks to the flux, and it looks disgusting. Kai is here, just the man we need. Look at what I've got here, Kai. Looky what I've got here. I hope you've got those you know, sort of schematics, or you know, sort of what's that software called again? I can't remember the name of the software that you did all of the recreation on. On standby and ready in case I need your help. No pressure, no pressure. Solder cow, yes, that's what Steve was calling his. He was calling it the Claris, you know, from the dog cow thingy, the move. Patrick Pitts is here. Hello. Right. Okay. So I'm going to try these 4 different methods. I'm going to use this thing. I'm going to use the mechanical solder, the motorized solder sucker. I'm going to use solder wick, and I'm going to use solder needles. And we're going to see which one, if any, gives us a more sort of consistent result, and whether we can actually get this thing off without me tearing my hair out or breaking something. Sprint layout, that's the word. Okay, so where are we? Where are we? Just looking. Just checking. The chat's going by fairly quickly. Hello to, my apologies that I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your name. That's AOIFE. Rain. I am very sorry. I'm not quite sure how that should be pronounced. And you know, that's my fault being ignorant. But anyhow. Any source for the straight dual SIM slots in a Mac 2? Speaking of Mac 2s. No, but you can buy single straight ones. So you take off the dual and then you just load up single ones. And they seem to go on fairly well. I had some, I think. I'm pretty sure I had some. So yeah, you replace the duals with a single and it seems to work quite well. So, right, okay, just keeping an eye on the chat. And of course, yes, if all else fails when it comes to these, I hit it with the hot air and then we just rip it off and damage everything. So, all right, so this one I do not believe has ever been removed before. So let's have a look at it under the microscope and see what we can see. So, well, wrong way. There. Right, so this is them here. Now, a few things that I should mention. When it comes to using a solder sucker, you should, excuse me, like a motorized one, you should not use flux. Flux gets into the gun and, you know, gets it all clogged up. So, just keep that in mind. As much as possible, we want to have a crack at this first go. I'm going to switch the machine on. This is the little gun thingy here. Oh, goodness me. I tidied that side, but I didn't tidy this side because I'm an idiot. Alright, that can go over there. I bought a whole stack. Oh, I found another moth. Shall we say hello to him? Come on. Hello, Mr. Moth. Wakey, wakey. Wakey, wakey. I think this one might be dead. Oh no, his little legs are moving. Hello. I have to tell you, this looks absolutely amazing in this microscope. See the little dots? Isn't that incredible? It's a little moth eye there. That's my cousin. So anyhow, I'm gonna send him to the outside and see if he can make a better go of it out there. I don't think he will. I think he's on his last legs, but you know. Righty. So okay. So this is the one. Let's just make sure I take the right one off. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So the one on the right side, when it's flipped around, it's on the left side this way. Now, a couple of things when it comes to removing these. You'll sometimes have some of these where they go really, really well. All the solder comes out nice and easy. Other times it's an absolute nightmare, and that can often be to do whether it is a ground pin. Often when it's a ground pin, it's attached to a large copper ground plane, which sucks all the heat out, makes it really, really difficult to get all of the heat right through the hole there to then get the solder out. So that's just a warning to folks when you're wanting to remove these things. It can be a real pain. So we're going to start off using the machine, which really doesn't seem to be sucking much at all, so I might have to clean it a bit. I cannot freaking type tonight. It's all right. We know what you mean, Joe. Oops. Get out. Thank you. So, all right. Well, this is completely clean. So that's good. No blockages. Yep, that seems to be sucking pretty well. Right, so the solder sucker thingy, machiney thingy that I have here, which is cheap. Rudy is here. Hello, Rudy. How's it going? You can see it's a little hole, So the area around it is essentially like a soldering iron. It heats up. At the moment I've got it set to 480C, and you might say, my God, that's a ridiculously high temperature. There is no way this thing is currently at 480C. I'd say it's probably more like 350. So it's just the machine. So yeah, it's not calibrated. There's just no way this is 480. So this is our little thing there, and then there's a tube that runs down the middle, and so the outside will melt the solder. I will then press the button, it will then suck, and it will suck that solder into a little glass tube in the handle. So that's how these work, if anyone has not used one before. And sometimes they're great, but you know where they're brilliant is removing through-hole mounted components like capacitors and stuff like that, and resistors. When it comes to things like this, removing things like ICs, you know, dip ICs and stuff, or sockets, that they're not as good. Where they really excel is when there is a decent amount of space around the pin going through the hole. So in terms of the size of the pin in relation to the size of the hole that it's going through. If it's a really tight fit, these don't work particularly well because there's nowhere for the air to go to flow through and pull that solder out. And so you're really wanting ones where there's a decent amount of space around that pin. So I'm gonna have to actually change views. There's no way I can do this on the microscope. There's just the laws of physics do not allow it. So let's go to the top view. And I'm going to just try on this one here. We put it on, melt the solder. Got to allow that to melt right through. If we suck too early, I'm just going to suck the solder on the top. I want it to try and melt right through, so when I actually press the button, I'm going right through. Now let's have a look at that under the microscope. This one's a good one. Now you can see, now you can't because I haven't actually got that view, but I will have that view. I think I even did quick keys to this, didn't I? Let's try it. F15. That's not F15. There is no F15 on this. It only goes up to 13. What the? Nope. Oh, hello, I just fired up iTunes. That's not it. All right, let's not use the quick keys. There we go. Microscope. Scope view, there we go. I moved these around a little bit, so I'm just getting used to them. Okay, so as you can see, we've got a nice clear hole around either side of that pin. So that one I consider pretty well desoldered. So happy with that one. I'm just reading some of the chat here. If a preheater might come in handy for removing these slots, I figure, yeah. I think it would be awesome, and I even bought one, but I can't use it because it's 110 volts and we're on 240 volts. And as much as I would kind of like to just plug it in and see what happens for the sake of a live stream and watch it go bang, you know. Hey Charlie, how's it going? So, yeah, that thing does really suck. Boom, boom. Okay, so that was a removal of that one there. That one went really, really easily. If the rest of them went like that, we'd be laughing, but they won't. I'm just letting you know now. So next thing we need to do is I'm going to try this one here. Another really important thing we need to keep in mind is a lot of these tools, big and bulky tools that do this heating and sucking and stuff, it's really easy to damage stuff. So that's another thing that's really important when you're doing this stuff. You want to try and make sure you're not wrecking anything. So this next one we're going to do with the what is sometimes referred to as the Brucinator. This is the great big solder sucker that you have to manually prime. Yes, look at that is a very pitted solder joint, isn't it? I wonder if it's been reheated at some stage. But anyhow, so we're going to get that nice and hot, and we're going to go. Now that one got a lot of the solder out, but we're still definitely, you can see it's still soldered on the left-hand side here. If I was trying to remove that, that would present me with issues. But I have been able to prise that one away. So that one is now free. Whoops. Focus is a bit of an issue with this, and I apologize for that, but it's because it's all very close. Very close. So this one here, I feel like he's still soldered on somewhere too. I might just apply some heat to that. Maybe not. There we go. Oh, yep. Okay. Yep. Now he's moving. Okay. So now we can see this pin is separated. We're totally separated. This pin here, also separated. We're good to go. So now all we have to do for that is to just get the same result like 60 frickin' times over. Hand solder sucker work better in some cases, like the lugs around W19 floppy connectors, because you can keep the heat on it. Could you send some details of that SS02 hand solder sucker? Because I'm just curious about that one. Is that the one that Jay from the House of Moth bought? Because he bought a solder sucker thingy as well, but it's like a manually prime one like this, but with a soldering heaty thingy. All right. Okay. Now another way we can remove solder is we can use solder wick, wickety wick. And I have some here. This is good wick. I just need to mention to people, I was made aware the other day that a lot of the links, the affiliate links that I have in my description, a lot of them are not working anymore. It's because I basically link them to things for sale on Amazon, and then the seller might stop selling them, and so they click on a link and it doesn't go anywhere. And I do need to resolve that. I know I will try and spend some time, but it's just a very, very tedious process getting all that done. But I do have links to Goodwick in the description. Okay, so we're trying to get that solder to bubble up. You can see there's still quite a bit of solder down the bottom of that. So can we get that to draw up? Yeah, so this one's a problem because I haven't been able to get that solder to come all the way up. Sometimes it just is to do with timing. Sometimes you'll just manage to get all the solder up nice and easily. Let's try another one. Yeah, see, this one's worked out a lot better. That one there, I've managed to get all the solder, pretty much all the solder out. There we go. That one's released. But the other one, not so much. So let's add a little bit more solder in, and then we'll try and suck it out again. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's a good idea, Joe. Just creating a links page on my website to link to. I worry about the fact that that then becomes a two-step process, because I know you do sometimes lose people if you have too many steps. I have enough trouble getting people to actually look in the description for the for all the stuff. Anyone who is new watching the channel, please just remember that there are links in the description of all the equipment I use, and there is also a section on the Recap-A-Mac website in About where I actually talk about some of the equipment I use as well. So if anyone wants it. Oh, look, I got two at the same time. What am I supposed to do? How's that going to work? Thank you very much, I Love Scotch. Had the bad SCSI after 2CI recap fixed now, are you? That is what we like to hear. It was really interesting. I had someone contact me the other day saying, no, they've got an LC2 and they're having problems with it. No, let me put it another way. They said, I have an LC2 that hasn't been recapped and I'm having this problem with it. What would you recommend? And it's a really interesting thing to say to someone like me. Because what do you think I'm going to recommend? Recap it. But essentially, I said, you know, because there is that kind of feeling. I know there's that feeling getting created a lot of the time in the vintage community that the answer to everything is recap it. And I know that gets a little bit frustrating at times. But the truth is, when it comes to an LC2 that has whatever it is, 13 or something, surface mount electrolytic caps, and a lot of those positioned around really vital parts involved in the startup of the computer, if you've got an unrecapped LC2 and it's not starting, that is going to be the absolute most important place to start. No, that's not general advice for every computer. There are other computers I would advise something different. When it comes to an LC2, yes, recap first. So thank you very much for that super chat. I do appreciate it. I'm so glad you got that 2CI working, because I do love a good 2CI. And super chat. Oh, look at this, 20 pound. Thank you very much, Kai. Because SIMM socket desoldering sucks. There's today's pun for you. Okay, so I have now essentially done, 3 methods? And I was going to do a 4th method, and that was going to be using solder needles. Now, we're going to do this for the sake of thoroughness, but I already have a bit of an issue with using solder needles for this, and I'll explain why. So, involved basically with a solder needle, what it is a tube of, let me just get a better view here. It is a tube of stainless steel. Just waiting for it to, there we go. It's there, it's a little tube of stainless steel. Stainless steel, you cannot solder to it. You can try, but you can't do it. It will repel solder no matter what you do. So this is really handy if you're, you know, wanting to do something where you don't want solder to stick to it. So anyhow, this is what it is. What we need to do is we need to find a solder needle that will fit into this hole. And that's, so I think I already know which size it is. That one's too big. So I think it's a 1 mil that we need, but we'll confirm that in just a moment. It's a 1 mil. Yeah, okay. That's a 1 mil. He goes through the hole. So the idea is that what you do is you put this here. Whoopsie. You put it here where it's somewhere where you can actually see it. And then you apply heat, melt the solder, and then push this down. The pin will be in the middle of the solder needle, and then the actual solder needle will push around the outside of the pin to push the solder out of the way. And so we'll do that now. I need to apply some heat. Okay, and I'm through. I've gone through as far as I can go there. You can't see it, I know. It's really hard for me to do it because I'm pushing the thing directly down. But what we have here now is I have my solder needle in there, and of course it's solder hasn't stuck to it, so I can just pull it out like that. And then if we have a look, have a bit of a zoom, we've forced the solder out of the way around that tube. Okay, now the reason why I'm not a huge fan of this method for something like a RAM SIMM, I'll just sort of explain that. I have to run to dinner. Enjoy dinner, Jeremy. What's for dinner? You might give me some inspiration. I'm trying to work out what I want to do for dinner tonight. So a blowtorch. Yeah. I mean, we could try a blowtorch and a turkey baster. Oh goodness me! I wonder what happened to your internet there. That's no good, Joe. So they make solder for stainless. There you go. We're definitely not using that though. So the problem I have with this is that although yes, we have ended up with this area of emptiness around the outside, the pin is still well and truly soldered on the other side of the board. It's, you know, where the pin sits there, and I've pushed that solder and I've pushed the needle as far as I can go. And essentially what I've done is I've just pushed the solder up onto the other side, and it is still well and truly holding onto that needle. And you can tell because this needle is not moving. He's rock solid. He's soldered on the other side. The other problem is that the solder is still there. We've just moved it out of the way. So if later on during this process I decide I want to maybe hit it with a hot air station to try and you know, free up a couple of pins, I'm going to get stuck because that solder is going to melt back down around the pin. So that's why I wouldn't necessarily use this. I mean, I might use this as a step in the process of getting a really difficult pin undone, but it's not the way I would do it for the whole thing. Now let's see if we can get that solder out with the WICK. I'm just curious. I don't know if it'll work, but we can try. No. So I'm going to put solder back in there. My camera's wobbling big time. Why? Why are you wobbling? Ah, that's not done up. That's why. Right, so we've now got solder back in there. We're out of focus. World is still wobbling. Why are you wobbling? Oh, that's why you're wobbling. There we go. There we go. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to try and get this solder out with some wick. There we go. Feel that come all the way through there. And then we'll just get this and make sure that pin is released. It's still a bit soldered on. I cannot see. Get a bit more here. Come on. Come on. Huh. Okay, that one's released now as well. Now, is anyone here getting the feeling like this may turn out to be one of my most boring and tedious live streams ever? You'll be forgiven for thinking so. I am going to go back to trying, I shall do it this way. I'm going to try my little mechanical solder sucker. We'll see how we go. So far, I don't know, what do you feel like we've had the best success with? They all seem to do it to a certain extent. That one seems pretty good. Oops, I missed that. You missed it, sorry. Wasn't in camera view. You have removed these before, yes. Yes, I do appreciate it, everyone who is sticking around through the good and the bad. There's moments of little victories and there's moments of pain and tears. Yeah, Bruceinator or machine, I suspect. We'll try a little combination of both. If I or say Jay would want some of these solder needles, which would you recommend? Maybe a link. So I bought mine on the E of the Bay, E to the Bay, and they're what were they called? They were called like desoldering needles or something like that. Let me see if I can find a link. Keep in mind, of course, I'm searching on. I'll see if I can find on eBay in the US for everyone else, not just us in Australia. eBay. Solder needles. Excuse me. Come on, where are they? I can see a set here. Desoldering. Let's try that. Desoldering. There we go. 8-piece set from China. It's from the China. So everyone just remember, it's coming from the China. So you might have some delays in delivery because there's a fair bit of turmoil going on in the world at the moment. Oopsie. Copy and a paste. There we go. There is a link to the needles for anyone who might be interested in the needles, the aforementioned needles. Sort of 7 of them are hollow and one of them has a little point, a little ramming point on the top. I guess it's designed for just poking a hole in a what do you call it, a little filled hole rather than actually having a pin running through it. So let's just close that. Let's go back to this so I can see what's happening. And thank you very much for the super chat, Garth. I do appreciate that very muchly. Right, so we continue. Let's try the machine again. We only did one with the machine so far. So that needs to go with the top view. Another thing I really should mention about the Macintosh SE board, I guess it's the age the board was made, but if you're planning to hit this with a hot air station, be prepared for the board to kind of go whitish or lighter in colour. The thing's, this went to sleep. It's not properly hot. So I've got to wait for it to heat up again. Oh, there's another moth. Hello. there's one up there as well. Okay, waiting. Okay, now where are we hot enough now? So I'm going to put this on here. Again, I want to sit it there long enough so that I melt all the way through, and then suck. That one looks good. They make a nice sound when they're working. They make this nice little sound when, like that. When you hear it go sort of like that, like the pitch changes, I'll tell you what it sounds like this. Did you hear that sort of go up? And that's because it's showing that it's blocked. It's not sucking anything through. When you get that, it's bad. Now this one, this little Herbert, he is, yeah, he's not doing it. I'm guessing this one's on a ground plane because he is being very stubborn. Let's see if we can get him out. Oh, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done? Sorry. Yeah, I know what I did. So let's see if we can get him out with a different method. So let's see. So looking at this, that one, come on. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, this one not so good. He has still got a lot of solder. So we'll try this one with the brucinator. This was named by Jay from the House of Moth. I sent him one of these, and he immediately, once he got it, labelled it the brucinator. That one did a good job. Okay, that's free. I don't know if you can actually see it. If I zoom down, when I move this, can I focus in there? Down in the hole. When I move it, see the way the whole thing is shifting? That's basically showing me that this thing is just, it's not soldered on. He's free. He will release nice and easily, which we like. So, need a couple little mentions while we're doing this. We're working through the tedious stuff. Need to mention Tinker Different. Anyone who hasn't joined Tinker Different, please do it. Oh, hello, Joe. Another Joe. There's another Joe in the chat, so hello, other Joe. Yes, I need to mention Tinker Different. If anyone hasn't joined Tinker Different, please do so. You will immediately feel a much, your life will be better, basically. I mean, I can't really put it any other way than that. And so tinkerdifferent.com, everyone, if you haven't joined, please jump on. Great stuff there, incredible projects, incredible minds, friendly people, all like-minded individuals, loving the playing with the computers and the tinkering and all that sort of stuff, and everyone always keen to help others, which is just so good. That's what the community is all about. So, yeah, don't forget to jump on to Tinker Different. I also need to do a shout out. Obviously, Joey's here. Macintosh. Now, for me, that happens in 2 days' time because it's already the 27th here. So tomorrow is the last day of February for me. Day after that, we've then got Macintosh coming right at ya. So, yeah, get on board with that. Joe, have you got mod? Are you able to put links into it? No, you're not. Let me get that sorted. Oh, you are a moderator. It's just not showing. Oh, yeah, I know you are. I see. Cool. It's just the view that I'm looking at here. I didn't notice. So, yes, feel free to put links in to Macintosh. We want to get, obviously, as many people involved and doing things for Macintosh as we possibly can. I'll be honest. I feel like the brucinator is doing the best job here. Posted the schematic of the Macintosh LC. He reverse engineered them into KiCad. How cool is that? Thank you very much. No, I didn't see. I did not see, and that's on Tinker Different, is it? Is it he's posted it? That is just so cool. Oh man, I love it. Love it. God, what a great time to be part of this vintage computer community, eh? It's just fantastic. I mean, you know, there was a time when, you know, the idea of, you know, making your own PCBs and stuff was like expensive, you know, expensive process that only a handful of people would do. Now we've got this situation where, you know, so many people are going in and reverse engineering stuff and printing PCBs and making their own adapters so that we're not having to pay ridiculous eBay prices for rare adapters and stuff like that. We've got, you know, we've got Blue SCSI, we've got RA SCSI, we've got SCSI 2 SD, we've got that other one who I can't remember. You know, just fantastic time to be doing vintage computery stuff. Oh, excellent. There we go, we've got a link to it. So anyhow, people, if you're into this vintage stuff and just tinkering and soldering and all that sort of stuff, Tinker Different, place to be. This is going really well. I thought this would be much, much harder. The Brucenator is the way to go. Just the most important thing with these is to just be gentle if you can. When it moves, when it bumps like that, it sort of goes bloop. You know, when the thingy comes up, it can make it jerk around, and of course that can end up damaging traces. As you can see, we've got lots of little traces around here. I'm feeling really good about this, actually. I thought this was just going to be an absolute nightmare. I may even be able to reuse this slot. And it's not because I'm being cheap or anything like that. It's just that the replacement slot I've got is white and the original is black. So I just would rather be matching. Matchy. I am just gradually filling my lap with little pieces of solder as I prime this solder sucker each time. That one, I knew that one was going to be bad. Knew it. Fill it with some nicer solder, some friendlier solder. Greg Coons, hello. 2 Blue SCSI units, got my 2CI booting off it. Excellent, that is fantastic. Yeah, I've got some more stock of SCSI 2 SD coming as well for anyone who's interested in my Recapamac online store. I sell Blue SCSI, I also sell SCSI 2 SD, and as I say, I have got SCSI 2 SD version 5.2s, and I have got a few version 5.5s, which is the external one. I've got them coming. So anyone who might have been waiting, I do apologise. Things have been really slow here towards the end of last year and everything. Just nothing was selling. The store was just sitting there and nothing was selling. And then this year it's definitely picked up a bit. So that's kind of nice. I think I've still got a couple of V6s in stock. I'd be really interested to see what ends up happening with the SCSI 2 SD version 5.5. I've never been in a situation where I've had them directly in competition on my website. I sold out of 5.5s, they were unavailable. And then the DB25 Blue SCSI became available. So I've never actually had a situation where they've both been for sale on my store at the same time. And I'd just be really interested to see how they go, you know, up against each other. Yesterday was my birthday, 30th anniversary of my 29th birthday. 30th anniversary of my 29th. Well, how about that? Happy birthday for yesterday. I love the way people get creative with describing their ages. Like people saying, oh, it's my second 21st birthday, that sort of stuff. To all the February birthdays this year. Woo! Francois Vevor, Oh, has everyone had a chance to see Macintosh Gaming Federation of Gamers? Please tell me you've watched it. If you haven't watched it, do yourself a favour. So this is a little spin-off, and I should mention that we've got a few spin-offs happening, and it's basically just been like some of the guys from the Mac Yak, we've just been chatting about stuff and just sort of saying, you know, why don't we do this and why don't we do that? Just for a little bit of fun, you know, just no harm in it. Nothing may come of it, something may come of it, but just why not? And so we did the Macintosh Gaming Federation of Gamers. We've got another spin-off coming soon with another little sort of breakaway group of the Mac Yak gang. What else? Oh, I forgot about this. So last week I didn't get a chance to live stream because in the time that I would normally be live streaming right now, I was live streaming on Dan Hewen's channel of the Canadian Computer Collector. So if you don't know it, Canadian Computer Collector, very funny guy, you know, funny channel, really enjoy his stuff. So he asked me if I would go on one of his live streams, and his live stream was him doing inventory of his vintage computer collection. We were on there for, I don't know, 2.5 hours, something like that. And it was a really fun time, really enjoyed it. But because of that, I didn't get a chance to stream myself. So instead, I just released a short, literally a 59-second video, and it had nothing to do with tech. It was about punctuation, basically, English punctuation. And it's funny because initially I had people sort of saying, oh, what the hell has this got to do with soldering? This isn't tech, you know, this is stupid, you know, put something else on. And here is the really ironic thing about that. It's a 59-second video, one of the quickest videos I've ever put together. It is currently ranked third in terms of its performance. It's, you know, since, you know, like the way it works with YouTube, when you release a video, it shows you over how long it's taken. So like whether it's been a day, 2 days, 3 days, 10 days, a week, it shows you during that time frame, you know, which videos have performed the best. And it's currently ranking 3 for the time frame since it was released. So it's like right up there with some of my soldering videos. And it has had more comments than anything I've ever released. So while I totally appreciate people saying, look, this isn't what I'm interested in, I totally appreciate that. There has to be an understanding that every now and again as a YouTuber, you widen the net, or you do something different, or you upset the apple cart because, you know, you increase the levels of engagement, you, as I say, widen the net of audience, and these can sometimes be the things that give a channel a bit of a push along. So, anyhow, I just thought I'd mention that. So for all the people that might have watched that video and said, well, you just robbed a minute of my life, just keep in mind that video is actually an extremely high performing video. So, you know, that's why you do it. That's why we do it. Why do you find a live stream at 3 a.m. instead of going to bed? That is life. That's a question we all ask ourselves, isn't it? But I appreciate you doing it. Oh, come on. Come on, you noodle. Get a little bit more of that out there. There we go. And get that release. Nope. There we go. That one's good. That one's good. I have just had, you know, of the different methods I have used here, I am feeling totally like the solder sucker that I'm using now, the Bruceinator, is the way to go. Should start doing a random local real estate video. Well, it's interesting when they talk about videos that are the most popular. Financial advice is apparently the one where the best earnings are to be made. Most advertisers want to be part of that sort of stuff. You get very good views and good money to be made. So seriously, if all you're interested in doing is just, you know, making money from a YouTube channel, I would recommend to everyone get into financial advice videos, but it is also a very, very flooded market. So you've got to have some point of difference, if you're planning to get, sort of large subscribers and, lots of advertisers and all that sort of stuff. Tech is another area that is very good on YouTube. There are a lot of advertisers that want to advertise in tech stuff. Yeah, I mean, the most important thing really, and this is something that I think people need to understand when it comes to my goals with this channel. This channel for me is about sharing knowledge. Now, when it comes to this sort of stuff, this practical stuff, the soldering that I do, that's the knowledge that I'm sharing on a video like this. I'm sharing this stuff, but I've got lots of other knowledge that I'm happy to share as well, whether it be about punctuation or, I've got a lot of experience in sort of computer graphics, and it is my intention to one day do a video on computer graphics. Specifically things like file formats, compression, understanding the concept of DPI, LPI, PPI, all that sort of stuff, going through and outlining all of this stuff, because that's one of my specialty areas. And so it is my intention to do that as well. And again, it's like, okay, it may not be tech related, but the focus of this channel is sharing knowledge. And if that's the knowledge I decide to share, that's the knowledge I decide to share. So, Australian wine vintages, well, they never last particularly long in this household, I can tell you. Why? They all get drunk pretty darn young in this house. In truth, I'm a white wine drinker, not so much a red wine drinker, and that's probably more to do with the fact that I get chronic acid reflux, and red wine, because it's so tannic, it's got a lot of tannins in it, does tend to play with my my acid reflux. And even though it is something that I medicate for, things like alcohol are not particularly good for it. So yeah, anyhow, that's for that reason I'm probably more of a white wine drinker than anything, and I tend to like young white wines. I don't like the flavour that a white wine gets when it gets some vintage on it. They generally go from, sort of the wines that I have that might start off with a citrus or a passion fruit flavour or something like that, will then mellow into a more honey style flavour as they get older, and I'm not a big fan of that. So for me, I'm much more likely to be drinking, quite young and drink now style wines. So there we go. See, we just got it then. We just got Brankus's wine reviews. Dear oh dear oh dear. God, just give me just like any opportunity to talk about wine, and I'll go for it. Righty. Okay, there we go. That one's free. I do think this is going to come off like first go once I get all these undone. Oh, is Steve here? Oh, Steve's here. I bet you're just hanging to live stream, Steve. You going to stream after me? Because we want to see what you got. I've seen a little bit of a preview, because we've mentioned before, us in the MacYak group, we have our own Apple Messages chat group, and it is a very, very active chat group. It is quite literally pinging off every single hour of the day, to the point that sometimes I look on there and there might have been no comment for a few hours, and I just send a quick little shout out, everyone okay? Because I haven't heard from anyone. But seen a few preview snaps. Steve has been at the VCF swap meet. I'm very jealous, because we don't have anything like that here in Australia. Certainly not with the calibre of stuff. I mean, what was that computer there for $20? It was like one of the those, it was a Performer Tower, one of those, I can't remember which one it was, but crikey, I looked at that, $20, come on, man. Come on, that's not fair. I sold everything I brought, but did walk home with more things than intended. Of course he did. I mean, come on. Is your name Steve? So, Steve, just to fill you in here, I've got a Macintosh SE, and it's got some corrosion on traces underneath this RAM SIMM. And even though that corrosion may not be the cause of this SE not working, because it doesn't work, I have to deal with it. It has to be addressed, it has to be cleaned, and so this RAM slot has to come off. And it's a job that I hate doing, and so far it's actually been pretty darn good. I found that when I tried a series of different methods, you won't be happy to hear this given your recent purchase, Steve, but I tried using the machine, so which I think you call yours Claris. I call mine someone's name who I won't mention because that person might take offense, Alex. I tried that, and I've tried the Brucinator, I tried solder wick, and I tried solder needles. And I have found that the one that gave me the best result was using the Brucinator, because that extra amount of suction that it gives worked really well. And then just finishing off any little dregs of solder that might be hanging around with a bit of solder wick, and it's working really well. So, Bill G, hello. I don't think I said hello to you before, so that's me saying hello. Not sure on the stream time yet. Running low on steam due to a visit to the emergency exotics vet this morning at 3 a.m. Yeah, we know why he was at the emergency exotics vet is because he was taking one of his bunnies there. Can you believe that they treat his bunny as an exotic animal? It baffles the mind. I do not consider a bunny exotic. No offense to bunnies. I like bunnies. Bunnies are cute. But I do not consider them exotic. Not even a little bit exotic. I feel like Steve's vet is a little bit like Grudy's mechanic, you know. If I told you the vet bill, you'd lose your mind. Yes, I probably would. I don't know what it costs for vet visits over there in the United States. I know what it costs for a vet bill here. I mean, obviously, once you take it, look, I've got cats, and once you take a cat to the vet, if it's just a straightforward kind of consultation and maybe walk away with some meds, maybe some antibiotics or something like that, you're probably looking at a couple of $100. If you're talking about, x-rays, blood tests, overnight stays, stuff like that, that's when it would just, it gets into the thousands straight away. The last vet bill I had was, I think it was getting close to $2,000, but that was intense stuff. That, as I say, that involved x-rays, it involved blood tests, it involved overnight stay, and it also involved, unfortunately, in the end, the disposal of the animal. So it was rather sad. It wasn't one of the finest days of last year. But, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, this is the cost of having pets, isn't it? Get a lot of joy from them, and then, when they need us, we've got to help them. USB hamster. I'll be honest. I mean, I can't ever see myself living without pets. They just bring so much to my life. So, so is it the same? Is it the same bunny, Steve? The one that likes to eat itself, or is it a different problem? And if either way, I do hope that it's something that is resolved, or being fixed, or whatever the case may be. I can tell you pet insurance is a hell of a lot more than $20 a month out here. Okay, we're good. We're moving along here, folks. I mean, touch wood. Okay. So our first bone, she thankfully doesn't like to eat herself. That's good. But anyhow, more importantly, I know how important the bunnies are, Steve, don't get me wrong, but more importantly, we've got this amazing... So, just so you know, this live stream of mine is not necessarily going to be a super long one. I do actually have other commitments. I do need to be finished within an hour. So, just setting expectations for everyone. That's just how it is. Unfortunately, I've just got a very, very big day ahead. I need to do some grocery shopping as soon as I finish this, and then I may or may not, I have to check with my colleagues, I may or may not be filming the pilot of a new show. Is that happening, Jay? Jay, you still there? We're in major spin-off mood in Mac-Yak at the moment. We're doing all these spin-offs. So I did that spin-off of the Macintosh Gamers Federation of Gamers with who's that? That was Steve, with Jay, with Dana, and with Ron from Ron's Computer Videos. And once again, if you haven't checked that out, please go and have a look at Macintosh Gamers Federation of Gamers. So we're basically working our way through trying to review some of the worst vintage Mac games ever released. And episode 1 is a doozy. So, ready when... Oh, okay, cool. And is Dana on board as well? Time since the connection was... Gotta tell you what, if the Sprint layout import into Open Board View, oh man, how awesome would it be to have board view files for all of these vintage Macs? That would just be a dream come true for me. Especially if I didn't have to do any of the work. Anyone who's not familiar with board view, it's essentially like it's like viewing a logic board or a motherboard, whatever, in like a CAD program type situation. But it's not, you don't edit it, you only view with it. So an open board view, you open up a board view file, you see the board, you see the outline of the board, you can view it from top or bottom. And the most important thing is that if you click on any component, it will kind of give you a name of what a particular trace is, whether it's like, you know, it might be like 3 volts, or it might be ground, or it might be a data address line or something like that. And you can click on any single point on the board and it will show you where that goes to on the board. And so you can then easily just, I mean, you could, if you're doing testing of, say, you know, RAM slots or something like this, you can just click on one of these, go onto the board view, see where it goes, grab your multimeter, test, you know, sort of test there to there, beeps, no worries, we're good, move to the next one. It makes the process of diagnostics so easy. And of course, it's a luxury that you have when you're working with modern Macs, because a lot of those board views have been made available by, I assume, some unscrupulous people. But they are available. And so if you're, say, looking at a, I don't know, MacBook Pro or something from 2012, you can open up that board view when you're doing diagnostics, and that in partnership with the board view and the schematic together, it actually makes diagnosing those boards really easy. I mean, like easier than doing these things. Even though these are old and simple, if you've only got a limited amount of information, it does make it very hard to diagnose. So, yeah, it would just be awesome to have board views for all of these. So anyone who is involved in making a board view of a vintage Mac, you have hats off from me. Not that that's worth much, but you have it anyway. Oh, most Mac generations recently were done in sprint layout, which skips the schematics phase, so the PCB only has traces. Yes, yes, I know that from the classic Reloaded. I think that's the case. If Kai is still in the chat, I think that is basically just a, you know, sort of a PCB layout without any schematic associated with it. Worth mentioning that I don't know if he's still in the chat, but LMNO is responsible for digitizing, you know, modernizing the SE30 schematic. So, and it's out there, it's available. It's like, there's a GitHub page for it, and it allows you to get a nice, like, searchable schematic of the SE30 for anyone who's doing work on it. Or do you need me for your stream, Steve? I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to. Just because I may not be able to see your stream, I can always watch it another time. I don't want you to not stream just because I can't be there. Oh, fudge! What? Sorry, the Brucinate is giving me some grief. There we go. That's better. There we go, that's a bit better. Let's just get a little bit of clean up around there. I didn't do a board view, but you can open the schematic in KiCad to check the roots of every component. It'll highlight them in pink, super helpful. Yep, I cannot, it's been helpful to me already, I can tell you. I had a situation with a board with a broken trace on one of the inner layers, going from I think one of the Mux chips to ROM or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but whichever one it was, I was able to find it with that, and I was able to repair the SE30, and happy joy, happy customer, happy me. So thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it. Oh, and thanks for this shirt as well. Okay. Oh, we are so close to the end here. I am hoping this thing will just pop up. Early COVID project, yeah. So it never stopped for me. I mean, you know, there were problems associated with COVID shutdowns and whatnot, but, you know, in terms of impacting on my business. But I was still very busy. I was able to focus a lot on the YouTube channel at the time, I think, because some of the other things had sort of petered out. Sprint layout, I was curious if there's a way to get a format folks can use that don't require them to buy sprint layout just to view it. That's a good question. I hope someone can answer that. I don't know that. I would love it if you could, you know, turn it into a board view, and then it could just be opened in open board view. This is the penultimate pin. Right, here's the last, which you can't see what I'm doing. There we go. Here's the last pin. Nice square pin here, which sort of signifies that it is most probably a ground pin. And oh, that one was a bit of a cow. All right, now, if this just lifts off, it will be like a miracle. It's more likely to still be stuck in a couple of locations, and then we just got to test the water to see how much pressure we can apply, how easy it is going to be to remove. You can see it's still firmly stuck on here. I don't want to break it because I've spent so much time trying to get this off without breaking it. I would hate to then break it. Ta-da! Let's just see how much solder we've got left over on the pins here. A little bit there. That was probably one of the bits that was making my life difficult. Just there, just up there. Come on, stay still. There we go. Just gotta suck that solder away. Uh-oh. Just removed a little bit of a veer from one of them. Oh, and another one. So, done a little bit of damage to the board in the process of getting that off. Nothing that is unrepairable, but I'm just annoyed at myself that that is the case. So let's now have a look at the board and see what we can see, and we will see a couple of those little loops lifted off. Okay, so now this is the area that I was referring to where we've got this kind of, we had some ugly trace damagey stuff around here. Let's have a look here. That's where I've pulled a bit of the loop off. That's not going to be a problem though. We're still joining that one there. I'll just point it out. You can see there's a little bit of the hole, a little rim around the hole is gone, but we've still got good connection to the other side, so that's fine. There's a bit gone there as well. I'm not even sure this one goes anywhere. We'll see on the other side, but that's okay. Okay. Well, it doesn't actually look as bad as I was thinking it would, so I'm not happy. But we'll clean it up. Have a look at some of these traces. Maybe ping them out a little bit. Is it common not to show ground pins? Example is SE30, where pin 35 and 36 can ground, but that is not shown on the schematics. They will often on a schematic just have show a line going off and then just indicate it with the little, the little ground icon like that. I haven't seen. I don't know exactly which part you're referring to, but yes, they normally do indicate that they go to ground. Someone correct me if I'm wrong though. Yeah. What is that spot there? Okay, yep, I'm going to show you what that is because I am going to continue with that. It is basically UV curable solder mask, and it's what we really apply to if we have any of these traces that get exposed. It's what we then apply to protect it. So the thing is that all of these traces are made of copper. And copper will corrode. It will oxidize when it's exposed to the elements. And so they coat it with mask, UV mask, which is what I have painted on manually. I'm just going to find my scalpel because I want to have a little bit of a scrape around here. See what I can see. Hello, scalpel. I had you just the other day. You were in my care. Ah, here it is. Okay, cool. So, looking at something like this. So we had a little dot there, but the copper is actually quite good there. So I've got no real issue with that. And And what we have here, this is where I was able to paint through this slot, but I couldn't paint all of it. So as you can see, once I start removing this copper, that then becomes susceptible to corrosion, and so that's why we then paint it with this stuff here. Which, that one looks terrible. We paint it with this stuff here, which is UV mask, or we coat it with solder. Coating it with solder will help protect it as well, or often referred to as tinning it. See, that looks terrible as well. So just to give people the little recap on the history of this board, this is a board that came to me for something, can't remember what, and I got it working. It was working quite happily. It had a problem with one of the RAM SIMMs. It has a defective RAM SIMM, but it was all good. Anyhow, it sat for a while because this person sent me several things, and so by the time I'd finished other stuff, this had been sitting for a while. And I was just about to pack everything up, send it back to the customer, and I tried this one out and it stopped working. So there's that feeling like we have some problems. And I was fairly sure that the problem existed underneath this RAM SIMM because there was this corrosion up here, and I thought it had just worked its way in under there. But now that I'm here, it really doesn't look too bad. So I'm now perplexed. I will probably need to ping out each of these slots, go, get a multimeter and put it into beepity beep mode, into the continuity mode, and check where each of them go and make sure that they're all going where they're meant to go, because this sort of nastiness up here ain't good. But I felt like I cleaned a lot of that out. I sure as hell don't want to take this thing off. That's a PDS slot. I don't want to take it off. I don't want to take it off. I don't want to take it off. Okay. So, one of the ways that we protect copper is we would get a bit of solder onto it, and that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to get myself some... It's raining again. Bloody raining again. It has just been awful here at the moment. In the middle of Sydney summer, and it just rains all the time. Okay. So just cleaning these up. Sorry, I just got distracted by the rain. What was I saying? Was it important? Does anyone care? Probably not. A little bit more flux here. Flux is the magic stuff. Magic flux. I'm sure I've told you guys this story before, but I remember someone once telling me you should never need flux for soldering. You've got flux in the core of your solder, never should have any need for any additional flux. And I thought to myself, if you're saying that, you have never done anything with the soldering on beyond maybe building yourself a little through-hole soldering kit. You've never done any surface mount soldering, any BGA soldering. The fact that you can say that with such authority makes me really not trust anything else you have to say. Okay. Let's grab a tissue. Okay. Did the SIMM slot survive? Yes, it did. Yay. We're joyous, happy. I'm going to hit this with a little bit of UV mask, and then I'm probably going to put the slot back on. And I don't know if anyone else has actually noticed that the removal of that SIMM slot is largely a waste of time. And it does give me the ability to go in and scrape away some of these traces and then put a bit of UV mask on them. I can do that. I could not have done that without removing the SIMM. But did they need to be done? Did they need to be done? It's been fun though, hasn't it? It's been a wild ride. Oh, Eon Flux. Oh, we've got references to movies with, what's the name in it? Charlize Theron. You know, I have that movie and have never watched it. As in, I bought it. I bought it on Blu-ray and have never watched it. And part of the reason for that is, well, there are two reasons. One is I read a review that said it was rubbish, which doesn't exactly inspire me to jump out and watch it in a hurry. That's one reason. But of course, reviews, can't take all reviews on face value, so you've got to find stuff out yourself. That's one reason. But the other reason is it's the sort of movie that my wife would never want to watch. So I have to find time to watch one like that on my own. And to be honest, whenever I have time to myself, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing repairs and live streams and stuff like that. Yeah. Rudy, thank you for joining once again. Thank you to Rudy. Thank you to Rudy for his incredible generosity in sending me an Apple IIe, which I believe is coming this week. I think. And so thank you, Rudy, and everyone just jump on, like and subscribe his channel. Would appreciate it. It's great stuff. So I'm going to have to paint some more of this on, but I've got an area here where I didn't clean properly and it's got a flux all over it. If I paint UV mask on that now, it's just not going to stick. So it would be futile. So in order to get this UV mask to dry, what I'm painting on, I need a UV light. Now I've found the best and most efficient UV light for curing this stuff is the great big UV light in the sky. But it is incredibly overcast here at the moment, even though it's the middle of summer. Well, not, it's the tag end of summer, but you know. Even though we're in summer, we're not seeing a lot of sun lately. It's starting to piss me off. So we are going to use instead a UV laser. I'm going to get this laser and I'm going to point it at this stuff and it's going to cure it like this, just like this. Bit boring, I know. My blue SCSI board's arrived, yay! I need to buy a whole bunch of those little Bourne's resistors for the, you know, the resistor nets. I just realised the other day that I was all gone. I had no more. Pew pew. Battery holders you designed for the Mac 2 worked great, by the way. Thank you for your help. You're most welcome. I actually put one on a Mac 2 yesterday. I had all my Mac 2s out and I was working on them. And one of them that I had out, I realized that I had no battery holders on it at all. I had obviously got part way through fixing it up and hadn't got any further. And so I had one of my test ones that I printed, grabbed it, put it on there, just soldered on beautifully. It just looks like I bought one. I'm so happy with it, and I'm so glad it worked for you as well. That's excellent. So just for people that aren't aware, on a Mac II, they originally came out with axial batteries. So what that means is the wire coming out each end of the battery rather than a battery that sits in a socket. And for that reason, the holes in the board for where those pins go for the batteries, they're at a particular distance which is different to the distance of the pins on a battery holder. So when you have a Mac II and you want to replace those soldered in batteries with a battery holder, the holder doesn't fit properly. So what I did was I made a 3D printed holder where you get your, where are they here? You buy one of these on eBay. You buy one of these, just a little holder like that, and it has these little metal things in it. And you pull those metal things out. They come out quite easily. Just whip them out. I said they come out quite easily. So anyhow, you pull them out, and then you get my 3D printed one where the spacing is correct. You put these metal things into my 3D printed one, drop it onto the board, and away you go. And it worked beautifully, and I was very, very pleased. And as I say, it looks like it was always that way. It looks like it was meant to be that way. Having said that, I have another Mac II where I jimmied on some connectors, some battery holders that don't look so good, and so now I've got to take those ones off and replace it with the pretty ones. Bruce's 3D models are legend, especially in the Blue SCSI sub community. I've actually got one that I need to make available to people, and it's designed for the Blue SCSI version 1.1, which is the latest one, and it's a holder that's designed to have that board sticking out the back of an SE or an SE30. So you can actually mount it to the bracket where you would normally have an Ethernet connector or something. You know, if you've already got an Ethernet card in there, this is no use to you. But if that holder is empty, you can get this this bracket and mount your Blue SCSI so that it's sticking out the back and give you nice and easy access to the SD card. I'll tell you what I made the other day. Speakers. The speakers that you get on say a Mac Classic or a Classic 2 or a Mac Plus or a 512 or 128K, all of those speakers are a 36 ohm, I think, from memory. I think it's 36 ohm speaker. If I keep saying battery, I mean speaker. Those speakers that are on those old computers, I've just got to change my view here to top view. They're these 36 ohm speakers, and you just can't get them anymore. You can only take them off old computers, and they're probably going to fail in the future anyway. So I found these ones. These are a 50 ohm, and they work quite well as a replacement. 63 ohm, not 36. I'm getting my numbers mixed up. So in with a Classic 2, 128K, 512K, Mac Plus, they all use a 63 ohm speaker, and those speakers can't be got anymore. But I found these 50 ohm speakers, which are readily available. I always keep a few on hand. Now, you can just do this as a straight swap. I haven't had any issue with it. But if you're concerned about the fact that the ohmage is different, you know, the what do you call it? Is it inductance? No, I can't remember what the word is. Never mind. My brain's just, words aren't in there. So you can obviously just stick a resistor in here if you want to get it closer to 63 ohms. You know, you just put it in line there. But you can just go with the 50, to be honest, in my opinion. But anyhow, this is slightly smaller than the original speaker. So what I did is I 3D printed a little adapter around the outside. So you get this and you snap that adapter onto the outside. And once it's snapped on, it's there for good. You're probably not going to get it off without damaging it. You just snap it on there. And then it's now sitting in a little bracket, which is the right size as the original speaker, which just makes it then a lot easier to then mount it to wherever it needs to be mounted because it's now the right size. So anyhow, that is something which I may or may not be making available to the public only because it's so niche. I don't know if there will be people out there actually buying these speakers. Maybe they are, maybe they're not, I can see. But, you know, the idea is that you buy one of these speakers, you snap that little thing on the outside of it, and then, you know, you replace your old battery, I keep saying battery. What is wrong with me today? You can replace your old speaker with that new speaker. Impedance. Is that the word I was using, or did I make up something else? Impedance is the word I was looking for. Yeah, there it is. Okay, impedance. Yeah, there we go. So lower impedance speakers make the amp run hotter. Well, yeah, as I say, I mean, look, you can obviously go in and you can stick a resistor in there, stick like a 12 ohm or something like that to get it up to like 62 ohms. But I haven't had any issues with the using it as a 50 on one of those computers. Well, rightly or wrongly, seems to be okay. Right, so we're not curing UV mask. I'm talking. Sorry, everyone. Sorry. Oh, and look what I've done. I've actually got it all over my hand. I was like, oh wow, how come this has got like imprints of hand on it? Because of me. If it's less than 10%, it's negligible. Yes, I would agree with that. So typically, if you had something like this with all this UV mask on, if you were to put it out in broad day sunlight, this would cure within about 5 minutes. More rain. Stupid rain. Rain is stupid, stupid rain. Okay, so where do I want to get to by the end of this stream? What have I got? I've got 22 minutes left before I need to go offline, just to set standards for everyone. This is something that I've learned, in particular when you're dealing with children. I'm not saying you guys are children, but it's something I've learned, and in particular if you've got people really interested in something. I'm not even saying you are interested, because you're probably not, but it's very important to give people a countdown. Set expectations. And as I say, I do need to finish because I've got things to do. Somebody was about to say 8 ohm would make the transistor glow. But isn't it a funny thing that, you know, all those old original compact Macs all use this really bizarre sized 63 ohm speaker? It's just weird, man. And here's another one that I've had. So I regularly have conversations and interactions with people on, you know, Facebook and whatnot, or forums where people are asking for help or whatever. And some people, you know, they see my name and they know who I am straight away, and that's all fine. Other people have no idea who I am, and that's fine. I'm not a famous person. You know, I just do these little live streams. But every now and again you get someone who is just so incredibly confident about some misinformation that you kind of have to step in and say, well, you're not really right there. And that was when someone was saying, oh, my Mac has no sound. And I can't even remember which Mac it was. It might have been a Plus. Let's say it's a Plus for the argument. And so my Mac has no sound. And of course, immediately up comes this, oh, recap it. And of course, we all know Mac Pluses, yes, sure, may need recapping, but there are usually other things going on with a Mac Plus before recapping. So, anyhow, I said, look, first thing you got to do is plug some headphones into it and see if you're getting sound from the headphones. Plug in headphones, he's getting sound. Sweet, no worries. Okay, that rules out a lot of stuff. Next thing we need to do is test the speaker. check to see that the speaker works. That's easy enough to do. You get a multimeter, you put it on resistance, you measure across the 2 pins on the speaker. If you're getting the impedance, like if it's a 63, if you're getting around about 63 ohms, your speaker's most probably good. If it's open, it's most probably blown. And of course, had this person that just flat out said, it won't be the speaker. It is not going to be the speaker. Those speakers don't blow. You never have problems with those speakers. The problem will be somewhere else. It won't be the speaker. And of course, I have to come in and say, look, ultimately, you're talking nonsense, pal. It can definitely be the speaker. On these old Macs, these ones that are really old, those speakers have been flippity-flopping for all that time, and it absolutely can be the speaker. And guess what? It was the speaker. The guy got his multimeter out. He did a test. Sure enough, it was open. Dead speaker. He had, I think he had a spare on another analog board somewhere, so he was able to swap that out. Yeah, just got to, you got to be careful there sometimes. There are a lot of people that just dish out misinformation. Hasn't this been a waste of time? It's really pissing down now. I don't know if you guys can hear the rain, but it's really pissing down. Pissing down. Yes, I did actually have one of those speakers where it was definitely the coil in it. And I was actually thinking to myself, I wonder if this is something that I can repair. So I started pulling it apart, broke everything and decided, no, it's not. The other person did own the error. But they were sort of owning it in a way of like, oh, wow, that's really weird. Never heard of that happening before. That's bizarre. This is the first time I've ever heard of that. So, yes, they did accept that was the problem. But they were kind of like, oh, no, oh, goodness me, oh, no, it's, whoa, whoa. Once this stuff starts to cure, it goes from that really glossy finish to more of a matte finish, and that's when you know it's done. You can hit it with a little bit of hot air if you want to as well, but I've found that doing that sometimes makes it separate from the board, so I generally don't do that. So I basically just coated all of the exposed bits of copper with solder and UV masks just to protect it. What's that? What's that? It's a little kind of divotty thing in there. I'll just clean that up, get some solder on it. Ooh. And I don't think this, what I'm looking at here, would be the cause of, sort of an electrical failure. A failure for electrons to be moving around. But still want to clean it up. I'll tell you what, if I get this computer fixed, I would just be the happiest person in the world. I just want it gone. It's been here too long. I don't blame people for doing this, but it's become fairly common now that when people send me stuff to recap, they don't just send me one board here or there. They send me a box of boards to do it once. And as I say, I don't blame people for doing it. It saves on postage and all that sort of stuff, but it generally makes my life a nightmare because I end up with these sort of these jobs that sit around for ages because, you know, I might do 3 and they're all working perfectly, and then the 4th one has a problem, and then I have to sit on it and diagnose it, and it takes time, and blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. Yeah, I mean, the thing with speakers is they move. Speakers move backwards and forwards, just relating some of the stuff being said in the chat here. They move. Anything that moves can break, you know what I mean? It's like, it moves enough, it's going to break. Inductance is measured in henries. Okay, here's a question for you, Joe. I don't know the answer to this. I want to see if you know. How does one measure an inductor? I wouldn't have a clue. Measure or test an inductor, I should say. Haven't done this in a while. I think I might do it today because I like it. It's fun. Let's get this here. And let's go. Eee, birdies, birdies, burn, burn, burn. There we go. I've had my little burning fun. LC meters would do this, okay? Speakers. With an inductor measuring device, some multimeters can do it. Okay, yeah, I don't think mine can. I don't think mine can. No. No. Okay, right, so let's put this slot back on. I mean, we've done nothing other than kind of clean it up a bit, but I guess it had to be done. But I was really hoping it would reveal some sort of massive problem, and it hasn't. Okay, let's put the slot back on. How funny would it be if I put it on backwards? I won't. Because that's Steve's thing. Steve's the one that likes to put things on backwards. Sorry, Steve, you know I love you. He's probably fallen asleep now, actually. Been a long day for Steve. My capacitor test may have a Henry setting. Let's have a look. Capacitor. Capacitor. If I press the range button. Is that manual? No. Okay, so manual range or auto range. Fine. Nope, no Henry setting on that one. What about this one? What about this one? Qwertee KM601 multimeter, everyone. Have you grabbed yourself one? There are links in the chat. I mean, in the description, where you can get yourself one of these KM601s. Beautiful big screen. Budget multimeter with lots and lots of functions, but probably not Henry's. Capacitance. What have we got here? Select. No. 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 Okay, so no, that's 2 no's. No Henrys. Henry. Okay. Welcome back, Alex. What'd you miss? Well, not a lot actually. I took the RAM SIMM slot off. It came off relatively easily, minimal damage, so that was a good thing. However, once I got it off, the state of the traces underneath was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So I cleaned up what I cleaned up, and everything's good and everything. But ultimately fairly unsatisfying. So that's that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back together. I'm going to put some RAM in it, and we're going to test it and see what it does. Because I can't remember what it does. I mean, I've probably got it in my notes, but I don't have my notes open. And I think the next step with this one will be getting the old multimeter and tracing out all of the pins from the RAM and make sure they're all going where they're meant to be going. Just making sure I've got this on flush. We definitely don't want one slot sticking up from the board and the other one flush. That would just be embarrassing. Nice. Okay. Just going to check and make sure it looks good from this side. Yes, yes, yeah. Oh, you're not flush. Are you flush? Yeah. Yeah, he's flush. Change the cam view. I thought I did. Oh, I clicked on it, but it didn't change. You have to click on it in exactly the right spot. Otherwise it doesn't change. And I clicked on it, but I clicked in the wrong spot, which highlights it, but doesn't change the camera. Frustrating. Anyone else watching that Inventing Anna thing on Netflix at the moment? Or has watched it? If you have watched it, don't tell me, because I'm still working my way through it. No spoilers, please. Smoke's going straight up, which means I don't have my fume extractor on. Naughty me. I will look at the chat in a moment. While I'm doing this, it's very difficult. Starbuck Tech, hello. Can hear the rain all the way from Canada. Oh boy, I feel sorry for, I mean, I was out with some people last night, and they have just moved from New Zealand to Australia, to Sydney. And oh wow, what a time to arrive here. It has just been raining constantly. The weather is just miserable. Now I'm probably going to steal some RAM from one of the other boards that I've got here at the moment when I test this, because the RAM that the person sent this with is not particularly good. And in particular, I think one of the SIMMs is shot. Hello to all Canadians. I'll take the rain over snow here in Michigan. Yes, well, it's not really an issue here. It doesn't snow here ever. So snow's not really something I factor in, but oh man, rain. Had a little bit of sun today, it was nice. This has been our wettest summer in 30 years, and in one day last week, we got 1 month's worth of rainfall. And of course, it's now everything is so soaked that the moment just a little bit of rain falls, everything just sort of kind of starts flooding. Not major flooding. Some places major flooding. Queensland are copping some terrible flooding. But you know, everything's just like, just not coping because nothing's getting a chance to dry out. Oh, another moth. Hello, Mr. Moth. Do you mind if I... Oh, actually, I'll tell you, you can keep that one. I'll just take this little square of paper towel. How about that? Six inches of snow. Hey! I'm familiar with the retro chip tester. Yes, I am. I don't have one. I have plenty of people telling me I need to have one, but I watched a video on it and I went, oh, that looks all so complicated. And then I thought, no, I won't. But yeah, they look amazing. So for people who aren't aware of them, essentially someone has made a kind of like a universal chip tester, and it's universal because you can actually update the firmware and install stuff for testing different types of chips. So, and at the moment there are lots and lots and lots on there, but you know, it's expandable. You can have even more. And essentially, just any old chip at all. You just plonk it on there, and are these ones? 1 megabyte SIMMs? I think they are. You can stick any chip on there, and it will test it. And it just sounds like one of the most awesome things, and it's something I probably should have, but I don't. Okay, so I'm putting some RAM in now. I need to change the view again. Top view. And then I have to hope that I have an SE or an SE30 chassis around here somewhere. Just let me have a quick look. That's a classic. That's a classic. That's a classic. That's a color classic. That's a classic. I think I may not have one here. I will have to go and get one. So please excuse me while I go get wet and bring an SE chassis down here so that I can test this. So, excuse me, I'll be back soon. I know exactly where it is, so it won't be long. Hello. SE, I think this is the 30. Yeah, SE30. I'm not even sure if there's a board in it though. No, no board. So I better zoom out a little bit close in here. Ow, shivers. Something zapped me. Wow, that was not nice. That had a zing in it. Don't ask me where it came from, but zappy. I wouldn't have screwed this up, would I? No, haven't screwed it up. Yeah, that's better. Okie dokie. Oh, this is the... I should have shown. I didn't show. I should have shown. This, I was referring to this before, earlier. This here, blue SCSI mounting bracket for the thingy, and as you can see, for the blue SCSI, yeah, mounting bracket for the blue SCSI in an SE SE30 that goes onto the back. And as you can see, you've got a little window here for taking the SD card out. You might need nails, but yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that's it there. Just mounts in to the back of that bracket, and this sticks out far enough so that this actually sits flush with the back case. So if you were printing this in the same color filament, that would be completely and totally, it would just look like I bought one. So anyhow, that's that. So let's go in and test this. Do I have my extension cable here? I do not. Why don't I have my extension cable? I do not know why. It's probably attached to one of my classics. See if I can find it. Nope. Whoopsie. Stay. What about this one? That one doesn't even have an analog board. So not that one. What about this one? Oh, that's the recent one, so it won't be in that one. I don't think it will be in that one. Nope. There's another classic. How many classics I got in here? Oh yeah, we'll just have to put the board in. The little extender enables me to test the board without having to put it inside the computer, but the time I find it, I could have just put the board in the computer. Not even going to bother connecting up a hard drive. All I'm really interested in doing here is connecting up. Will this fit? We'll see. Connecting up the speaker and the power. Come on. That's better. Come on. Cute. Right. It doesn't fit because it's an SE board. It all uses the same power supply and all that, but the holes don't line up with the chassis, so we're going to have to get creative here. Oops. I'm a bit annoyed now, just quietly. Can I connect these up so that we can hear sound and get a picture and all that whatnot without putting the board inside the chassis? If you were just a little bit longer. What if I just connect another speaker? Ooh, yeah, I'll do that. Connect another speaker. Here's a speaker. It's a terrible speaker. It's in awful condition, but I still think it makes sound. Right. Boy, what a bodge job that is. Note to self. Go and find my extender cable. Right, okay. Connect it to power, see what happens. It made a... Oh. Something smells. Okay, oh, look at that. All right, so we didn't get any chime, but here's what we did get. Going to zoom in on that. See if we can decipher what is going on here. Don't zap me. There we go. Flicker's not too bad, is it? Whoopsie. Sorry about the... Sorry about the... There we go. So, unless I'm mistaken, that should be a pretty steady picture with no flickering going on. Because I'm currently shooting that at the same refresh rate The shutter speed is the same as the refresh rate, which is 60 Hertz. So, what have we got here? Well, we've got a few things going on. First of all, we've got a SAD Mac, and that SAD Mac is almost definitely a RAM-based SAD Mac. But here's the really important thing. This is the telling thing about it. Our video is obviously a complete mess as well. And it's worth mentioning that the RAM is used as video RAM on these. So that's a double whammy, really. We've got the SAD Mac saying there's a problem with the RAM, and then we've got video artifacts which are telling us there's a problem with the RAM. So it's fairly conclusive that we have a problem with the RAM. This is really where I was before, so I'm no better or worse off than I was before. Maybe a little bit better off in that I've had a chance to put UV mask on those exposed traces. But what I have to do now is I have to go in and get a multimeter, because this is known good RAM. I have to go in and get a multimeter and start pinging out all the little RAM slotty thingies and making sure they're going where they're meant to be going, because we've clearly got a cut there somewhere. There's you know, and keep in mind that this was working. This computer did work. Got to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness. Oh, just about to put my back out with that one. Crikey. The TTL may be bad. Is that time to live? It's coming from an internet perspective. Time to live. Sorry, just looking. I'm catching up on all the chat here. Just in time for the sneeze. Yep, good time to arrive. What was it? Cheshire Noir? Is that correct? Replace RAM. I have. This is different RAM than I was testing with before. The result's the same. So I don't think it's the RAM. I think it's something else with the board, especially seeing as it did work before. So... Okay, gonna switch him off. Transistor logic. Sure it's not time to live? I work with the internets. TTL's time to live. Can we make out the numbers? It's what 000E 000 something F00. Yeah. Well, I think this would probably have to be. I'd need to maybe go back and check. I'll have to probably go back and have a look at a few of my other live streams. But this is possibly one of the most pointless live streams I have ever done. And that's not by design. It's just worked out that way. The problem that I have is that in order for me to go in and properly trace out all of these little pins, I need to open up the nice little, I've forgotten the name of the software again, that Kai made up. I need to have the board up there and do testing and check what goes where. And that's PC software, and I don't have a PC down here. I've only got my PC upstairs. So I can't actually do that part of testing here. I have to do that. Sneeze close to the mic. Yes, well, see, the mic is stuck to me, so I don't really have much control over that. It's attached to my person. How you going, Steve? Steve, did you want a live stream? Get yourself set up with a live stream, you know, like now? Because I have to stop. I've just realised I've gone over time. Geez, that last sort of 20 minutes just flew by. So am I finishing up, or am I handing it over to you, good sir? Steve, sir. Who wants Steve to stream? So, some of the things that are relatively easy for me to check on this, I can do things like whip out this VLSI chip in the socket and swap that over with another one, see if it makes a difference. Same with these sort of chips over here, but I don't believe it would be a problem with the ROM, otherwise I wouldn't be getting those images. So, yeah, my general feeling is that there is a trace break somewhere going from one of these RAM slots through to the rest of the board, and I've got to go and find out where that is and correct it, and then I think we'll be pretty good to go. The fact that I had it working is always a good sign. I've just got it in my head that I've already swapped over that VLSI chip in my earlier diagnostics, so just want to have a look and see how it looks in the socket. Yep. Socket's good. I had one of these recently where the socket had actually cracked, and so the pins weren't making particularly good contact. Stream, Steve, stream. Tomorrow, okay. Tomorrow, I don't have it in me today. Understandable, I know it's been a long day, so fair enough. So anyhow, look, what I will do, I don't know if I'll get back to this today. I've just got too many other things going on. I've got to head out now and then theoretically, assuming my colleagues are still awake, then do some more YouTube-y shooting, videoing stuff. So I can't continue with this today, but what I will say is my normal thing here. I want to say thank you to everyone for watching. Thank you for all the live streams. Thank you for keeping me company while I did this. This will definitely go down in history as one of the most boring live streams I've ever done. Though we did successfully get this RAM slot off without doing major damage. So I guess that's what I called the video. So I guess we did it. It was just a complete waste of time. Those sockets, those pins in those sockets get weak and bend away. I've actually got lots of spares of these sockets, so if it looks a little bit sus, I'll just replace it, but we'll just see what happens. So thank you everyone. Thank you for you know, sort of for persevering, even though it was a little bit on the dull side. I'll try and make next one better. And don't forget to go out and check out the Vintage Gaming Federation Macintosh Gaming Federation of Gamers. That's it. I'm forgetting the name of my own channel now. If you haven't seen it, it's a bit of fun. So thank you everyone. Thank you for keeping me company. I hope you all have a good one, and I will see you at the next stream. If I have any success with this, I will post it on my Facebook page. So thanks again, and bye now.